Hmm.
So it's like it's crazy that like they were like super against it, but then all of a sudden like another game does it, and people receive it well. They have like this preconceived notion that like the players say they want something, but they don't actually want it, so they just assume that we don't want it. So then they don't give it to us. But then when we get it from another game, they're like, "Oh, you actually did want it? Wow, no way."
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things that we're seeing reflected in Diablo 4 right now as well. Now that they've gone on to Game Pass and they're getting a much wider audience playing it, I think that some of their big shifts coming forward are directly from the community. And I think that that's wonderful for gaming in general. You know, I've been playing a lot of Helldivers 2 lately. What up, Richie? Great to see you. You know, playing with him a lot. And how community driven that game is as well. I think that that's something that Magic right now is really lacking, is so much of the audience in Magic the Gathering has no way to give feedback, even if it were
I
to
try. I do try whenever they send out those
the community outreach
Survey?
stuff.
I picked this. I took their survey. The
surveys,
week ago, I think. Yeah.
Hmm.
They were
it
like,
doesn't
basically,
feel
they're
like-
like, why don't you play Arena anymore? I was like, all right, well, I'll let you know why. Because Commander's not supported.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
And
and
some of the
beyond that,
questions were very much like, if Commander was supported, would you play? I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I definitely would.
I think they would even lack some stuff though, right? Because a huge part, and I don't think we realize it, of Commander is the politics that goes on, and because of the nature of Arena, I don't think it's a good format for a good platform for the format. I don't think that you can do all of the politicking. Hey, if you attack him, then I'll do this, or if you don't attack me this turn, it would cut it down to a version of Commander that loses, I think, an integral part, including the Rule Zero discussion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it would be super difficult to be able to levelize it, to have different like power levels, you know, to have some way
Right.
to equate that, and it would just be such a free-for-all format. And one thing, especially with it, is how complex a game of Commander is, and how difficult it would be to build a system that functions correctly with all those different interactions. So
Well, no, they
I'd
have it
worry
already.
that like
Magic Midco, Magic the Gathering Online, they have a program that does it. It works. It's a little buggy, but it still works.
I mean, if you're, I mean, you have the chat functionality in there, but it's clunky at best, and that's and the cost.
But it functions. It functions like it knows all the interactions. It knows when timing's supposed to happen. It gives you priority. It does everything like Magic is supposed to do. It has the chat feature.
like
It's the problem is it's too outdated.
Mostly.
Like you're saying, it's too clunky.
It is clunky. No, I agree, and I think what this speaks to, and I think all of us are kind of saying the same thing, is that I think there's a great desire to have an online ability to play besides Spell Table Commander with people online, just so that we can get games in when your friends aren't available, and you don't have to go through Spell Table to get it done. You don't have to have the physical cards. But unfortunately, just the product doesn't exist, which is bizarre, considering by most common opinions that Commander is the format of choice for most people buying Magic.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think that another great example to speak to that is how the Commander decks are being received across the board. That's one of the number one entry points. As the box price is getting more and more expensive, the barrier to entry is, you know, matching that nowadays as well. And I mean, realistically, you could almost buy a Commander deck for the price it would be to buy into a draft nowadays. And for how much fun you'll have with a cheap Commander deck versus, you know, all the cards you'll get from an equal draft, I don't know if you'd be having as much fun with those cards on repeated, you know, plays. It's not like I'm going to take my draft deck and use that ever again. I'm going to break the cards out and use those for decks.
Yeah, even if you're drafting for Commander, you're still going to take that deck apart. Maybe you make it better, but you're not going to just leave it as is.
Well, and you run into a whole slew of problems there too, with like the whole alchemy format of cards on Arena, and like it certainly needs to be very, very well developed. Plus, you know, like with your pack openings and your what are those called? Like the to create what are those resources called? The gold, the common
Gems.
rare,
The embers or whatever.
not the
hell it's
gems,
Oh.
the ones where you craft for
Wild
crafting.
cards or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, wild cards, sure. That I think that will take a different look, if you bring Commander in. And additionally, so many of the Commander staples are just not even on Arena yet.
Really? Well, that makes
Yeah.
sense. They don't support the every format.
What do you mean? They don't. There's like
I don't
most
play
of
Arena,
Magic
dude. I don't
history
fucking know what they
doesn't
have on there.
Yeah.
It doesn't go back very far. I think like
I know they have
Pioneer.
Brawl, so I assumed with Brawl that they would have more support for Commander.
Like you don't even have a Soul Ring, right? Not that I'm
Oh.
aware of. Maybe you do from Brothers War. No, that didn't have
Mana
Soul
Crypt?
Ring in the.
Ancient Tomb?
I don't think so. No.
Maybe Ancient Tomb
None of
because it
them.
was in the Lord of the Rings.
No, because those weren't in Lord of the Rings. Those were in the.
It was in the
Box
Balance. It was called
toppers.
Balance Tomb.
At Easter, do you
only-
do
Yeah, but they
Coach?
weren't part of the set. Just like they keep saying, just like they were saying about, I guess we should get into the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, that the guest ones and whatever they're calling them now,
Guess
the not reprint set within every set now. They're not legal except I think what Rosewater said, they're legal only in the formats that they were legal in before. So they don't print those for Arena. Unfortunate.
Are they legal in draft when you draft them? They have to be.
Only at the draft, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I was just that'd be very awkward if you had to all right, guys, I'm taking a card out that's not legal. Hold on,
Yeah.
everybody, wait. That'd be really weird.